Hello everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and welcome to the last Yu-Gi-Oh! Review that I am going to post. Unless Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s gets really cut short, but until 7s is actually finished, I am not going to do any review on it because anything that I say might be fixed later on. But I am here with the final one, Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. And full disclosure, VRAINS was around the time that I was getting out of the card game and collecting because I did not know how links were half the time I was watching the show. But yeah, just a fair warning that the card game isn't going to play too much of a role in this. Even to be fair, with Arc 5, the card game didn't play as much because I didn't care for pendulums at all. They just seemed very confusing. But with this one, it's solely the anime. So let's see how it stacks up. To begin, I liked the start of it. I think that's a common trend for me. The beginning arc was really interesting. It's similar vibes to Yugi and the Pharaoh, Yuma and Astral, but instead, Yusei's there instead. Because Yusaku is very similar to Yusei in multiple ways. First of all, he never lost a duel. Yusei never lost a duel either. And second of all, these two shows are a lot more on the darker edge, and both of them involve the characters riding around on something in order to duel, at least for 80% of the duels. But the introduction was just really interesting. The whole dynamic between Ai and Yusaku, or Playmaker, I'm probably going to interchange those, was really cool. And the whole Knights of Hanoi thing was really interesting to see how they would do that. Although there were some problems at the start, like Yusaku and Revolver dueling like 3 times in a row. It's just, that was a bit much. But I'll touch more on the specifics in the cons. On that note, Revolver was such a good character. He was really cool, he was calm and collected, and it was really cool to see how he developed through the show. Because even at the start of Season 2, I believe, his helmet changed. That's not that big of a change, but just like, he did his own thing, and it was just really cool. Even in the dub, his voice isn't honestly too bad. That's much more than I can say for Ai. But with all that, let's move into the cons. So a lot of these kind of interchange with each other. A lot of these fit together and are under the same umbrella. But the biggest problem that I have is the show turned into the Playmaker and Soul Burner show. If you're not familiar, Soul Burner is a character introduced in Season 2, and he became the Jesse Anderson to Yusaku's Jaden. Basically, they're just both duelists, they both have Ignis, and they're just going around kicking butt. Quite literally, because neither one lost a duel. I think Soul Burner... No, I don't think Soul Burner lost. Because Revolver like surrendered in one duel or something like that before their big duel at the end. I can't remember. All I remember is they steamrolled anybody. And you can be sure when they're dueling, you don't have a chance to win. And that's just very upsetting because Revolver just disappears for a dozen episodes at a time and then just comes back and kicks butt. But you got Yusaku and Soul Burner here, and they're just winning every single duel, so there's no stakes. And because of that, Aoi turned into a waste of a character. Aoi, Blue Maiden, Blue Girl, whatever you want to call her, it's all the same thing. She had potential. Being the girl lead, it probably wasn't a lot of potential. But after she got beat by Playmaker and Soul Burner, it was over. She had the Ignis, which is kind of a plot armor thing, but it didn't matter in the long run. Literally the only win that she had was against, I can't even think of what his name is. Not Bowman, the person beside Bowman, whoever he was. That was the only win that she had. And if I can't even remember his name, that's telling you something. But like I said, the beginning of the show was really good, but there were so many clip shows. I can't think of what it is, but I think episode 13 was just a clip show of everything that happened so far, and then they had one later on down the line. I can't remember how many clip shows they had. I think at least 4 or 5. So I literally just got off the phone. I can't remember where I left off, but yeah, there were a lot of clip shows at the start of VRAINS, and it was just a bit of a mess. And I was an annoying character. I feel more in the dub than the sub, but in the sub, he at least makes more sense because he's supposed to be the comic relief to Yusaku, but when he just throws in random references to technology, it just feels kind of weird. Now, the only redeeming thing I can say for Ai is that he becomes the villain, if you even want to call it that, at the end of the show. But like I said earlier, Yusaku did not lose a duel. Now, I didn't harp on it as much with Yusei because with Yusei, it was the fate of the world and all that stuff. But I can't excuse it with Playmaker because he literally dueled Revolver 3 times in a row. He literally dueled Bowman 3 or 4 times. I can't even remember. There are literally times where he could have lost, but they just didn't give him a loss. And to top it all off, the last arc was so short. I don't know if it was views that didn't make it so they could renew it for another season, or it could be something behind the scenes, I don't know. To be fair, with all the clip shows, I wouldn't be surprised if something was going on behind the scenes. But the last arc being short just made things so upsetting because there was so much they could have expanded on. They could have expanded on literally Aoi as a character overall. They could have done so much with that and give Yusaku a loss. Give Soulburner a loss. Even at the same time. Obviously, you can't give them both a loss because if they're dueling, one of them's going to win, one of them's going to lose. But you know what I mean. Just give them losses. And the chess pieces. They introduced the chess pieces and they didn't do anything with them either. Just a lot of wasted potential overall, in my opinion. But favorite character, easily Revolver. I mean, that's basically what I gotta go with because Playmaker, Soulburner, wasn't too big of a fan for them because they always won. But with Revolver, even though he didn't win, he always just was there, and he was honestly a better protagonist than Yusaku could have been, in my opinion. But most underdeveloped character, it's gonna have to be Aoi. There were so many characters that got sidelined, like Go, but they just absolutely shafted Aoi. And I just feel bad for that. I think that's all I can talk about with Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. And I feel like it's fitting that this episode is so short because the show itself was shorter. But yeah, if you have anything else for me to review, then I can go ahead and do that. Do a separate video on that, whatnot. But I'll see you next time. Momentai.